All right, we are live.
Yay.
How's it going, Meryl?
It is so good. Good to see you. I missed you last week.
I know. I missed you too. It was a crazy week. My computer was not acting crazy. It was
Oh,
doing a lot of crazy things. So
well, we're back and we are in control of our technology this week.
that is true. That
um,
is true.
I had a fun weekend with a lot of travel, and I feel like it's going to make its way in some of our topics today.
Yes, definitely. Well, I am going to let you start off with the conversations.
Okay. Well, I'll start off. I wanted to talk about Boeing planes because that played a
Mhm.
big role in me picking my flight this past weekend. I went to Texas. Visited a few locations in Texas for comedy and to see friends. And of course, I booked my flight very last minute, like 2 days before I had to go. And
Oh wow.
I know. Well, first I figured, okay, it's always such a quick ride from Los Angeles to Texas, and I like, there's always flights going, and I was like, no matter what, I can get a flight for $40. It'll be easy. And then I saw that I forgot it was a South by Southwest festival in Austin, which is like a huge festival. So, needless to say, after doing my research, I'd realized I wanted to avoid Boeing planes at least for the next like week and a half or 2 weeks, And so I understand flying is safe, and even though like Boeing it's still always extremely safe, just with like all the Boeing planes falling out of the sky basically and losing wheels and all that stuff. I'm already a
Yeah.
nervous flyer, so I looked for flights for airlines that don't have Boeings, and then that led me to Spirit Airlines, which I don't know if you have had the joy of flying Spirit yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's like a Build-A-Bear of planes, where you have to pay $10 for every like for it to have a wing of the plane or something. And so, uh, overall I had a really good time. But Spirit is definitely known for like up charging on everything. And I thought it was so funny that right as we were landing, they played a game, a really cute game, but they played a game where we had to answer trivia, and then the winners would get a free bottle of water. And then they were saying this bottle of water is valued at $3.50. Like, did the other airlines give you this for free? Yes, but at least at least it's an Airbus. So I wanted to get your thoughts on, like, does that make you, do you care at all about Boeing planes, and whatever? Are you someone that you'll just fly anything because it's safe?
I mean, I know that overall flying is safe, okay?
Yes.
But I have to be honest with you. I'm totally shocked at how many things have happened lately, specifically with Boeing. Between, like you say, the door flying off,
Yes.
passenger trying to open the door mid-flight, the tire falling off the plane. Those kind of don't make me feel very good about flying right now.
Yes. The whistleblower being
Oh,
blown off. Yeah.
and it just makes you wonder, and it's like, okay, let me just not lose my head, but I think if they have maybe a couple more instances that happen, there's going to be a lot of people that do like you and like, you know what, let me just stay away from Boeing planes.
Yes, I already saw a slogan that was like, "If it's Boeing, I'm not going."
Wow.
And then I thought it was so funny that then Frontier Airlines made this like TikTok about, fly us, we're not a Boeing, and then everyone piled on, and it's
Wow.
like, never mind Frontier, I'd rather fly Boeing, or I'd rather, like, someone wrote, I'd rather crawl to Antarctica. So it's funny, like, watching the other airlines try to capitalize on this.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing about it is it really boils down to, you know, everybody doing what they're supposed to do. And the
Yeah,
thing is that it boils down to either a person or a process breaking down.
yeah,
And, you know, once you start seeing other issues pop up, like the door coming off, when you have the wheel, the tire fall off the plane,
yeah.
you go back to, okay, there's a lot of systematic problems because obviously, things happen every so often. Nothing's perfect.
Right, right.
When you have this many instances in a very short time period, it kind of makes you wonder where the breakdown is.
Exactly. And they have a lot of ex employees and ex investors and everything coming out and saying they're trying to cut corners now, and money is definitely taking precedence. So I think that is something as well, like people that have worked there or have had an interest in there coming out and saying, warning people about it.
And the thing is too, I think that, you know, I hate to bring politics into this, but there has to be protections in place for people to comfortably be able to speak out without retribution.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because you speak out against a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you may not have a job. You know,
Yes. Isn't it
and
good that, don't tell me the answer, I don't want to know the answer, but right now I don't even know what side politically doesn't really allow that. That's so funny that now in 2024, like I was trying to think who would be more annoying with that, and honestly, like both, I could see a case for each party being annoying. So I don't want to know the answer in a good way, but yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you definitely got to pay attention to what's going on, and then it's like a silly slogan, but it's true. You see something, say something. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I do know, like, I'm not one to be superstitious, and I won't, but I think flying already is like a nerve-wracking process, and just the more
Hmm.
peace of mind you can have, the better. So
Yes.
I'm totally one of those people that whenever I'm on a flight, I'm actively looking up like the crash record of the airline. And I was like, okay, Spirit to this day has not had any, I believe they have not had any fatal crashes. And so there's like this dark side of me that I was thinking, okay, if this was to happen to me, at least I would get a lot of attention, as like I would be on like the first fatal flight of Spirit. So at least let me get like my attention if something bad is going to happen.
See, I would not even want to know that.
Really? Oh, I look so much. I know all the safety records. I follow it a lot.
Because if I find out too much, I'm like, whoa. And I'm looking at it while I'm on the plane, a little bit too late there. It's like, oh.
I know, I know. I also follow, because I really did used to, like, I used to have panic attacks on planes and everything. But what
Oh,
helped me
wow.
was watching accounts of pilots and, like, seeing what it looks like from their end of things, and explaining. They would explain what the noises are, and like, especially on Spirit, you feel like it's like a Fred Flintstone type car where I can hear every little noise. And so like the whole time I was still like, oh God, why is the engine stopping? Oh God. But then once it's like, you're not afraid of any little thing you don't know. So
Yeah. I think if you've never flown before, it's probably we're terrifying because, you know, people who've flown before knows that sometimes every so often you're gonna run into turbulence in the air. And
yeah,
if you've
yeah.
never experienced that, it could be a very scary thing.
Yes, and it feels like turbulence is getting quicker and more like just severe in a couple of years. I am not someone to watch though. Like I know everyone says they look around to look at the flight attendants and look at their faces, and I feel like I am not someone to calm other people in the plane, because if we have turbulence, I'm like, so I'm just there like making everyone else severely other anxious. And one time a guy actually ordered a bottle of wine for me on a plane. He sent it back to my seat, and he's like, I think this woman needs like a little thing of wine.
Totally understand. I remember years ago, I want to say, I think it was our honeymoon, and we had flew to Jamaica, so we were on our way back, and there was a lot of bad weather and stuff, and it felt like the plane dropped,
Ugh.
and everybody was kind of like the plane was silent. When you fly in the airlines and everybody's quiet on the plane, if it's not late at night and everybody's quiet, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And the pilot had went past me. I think he was going to the restroom or whatever, and he kind of looked me in the face. And I have to admit, I was a little bit terrified, especially feeling a little bit of drop. And then, when he went back to the cockpit, he actually said, we're just making a roundabout, and we're going to go into the airport from a different angle to avoid most
Uh,
of this weather. So I think he looked at me and probably looked at a few passengers, figured, you know what? Let me just take a different route to calm everybody down a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like once you picture the plane going up to different levels to have less turbulence, then it makes sense. But when you're just in the sky, I just picture us dropping out of nowhere. Like, I
And
actually
it's
saw
like,
a really good thing that they said, if you're ever afraid of turbulence, it's like it's called the Jello theory, where you're supposed to picture like the plane is basically on top of Jello, and like you can't really fall through. It's just the little bumps like are causing friction, but it's not actually gonna like fall through the cup. So now I always think of us in Jello. So in case that helps anyone.
That's something definitely to think about.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about a crazy fashion trend right now.
Yeah.
I can't even believe this is even a thing, but now there's this new trend where there are panties, women's panties that are made to be worn outside. What do you think
What
about it?
is it? And is this women and men that are doing this, or for now just women? Like,
I've only seen women up, and I'm quite sure some guy's going to try this pretty soon. Okay, but I think this is absolutely nuts. I mean, it's bad
yeah,
enough you have the people coming to school and going to the store in pajamas, but now I
right.
guess they want to take it up a notch with the underwear. I think this is nuts. I mean, what do you think?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I have so many thoughts. I'm just catching up with the trend where you wear pants and like your underwear is visible underneath it. So like the inverse of that is it's like either way, we don't want to see your underwear, whether it's like over or under.
Hmm.
I also have to wonder if then people are like also then wearing underwear under their pants, like it's like a sandwich, basically a pant sandwich.
Hmm.
I am not in it. I don't want anyone but my close friends to see my underwear. That's after a lot of tequila, but no, I'm super not into that, and I don't understand how that could look good. Even I could see it for like whatever 19 or 20-year-olds how it could maybe look fashionable if you're at a festival and you're like trying to make it cute or something, but that's weird for me.
I mean, I'm just thinking about this, and I'm thinking, okay, you're obviously in the entertainment space.
Yeah.
The dress code is quite different from the normal business space. So
Oh
obviously
yeah.
there's a lot of latitude, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird if I'm sitting at a table and I'm talking business with someone literally in their underwear. It's you know, you're supposed to be concentrating on the project, but you kind of like, wow, I can't believe this person is really wearing this, right?
Yeah. Now I'm actually on. Now I'm wondering. I think maybe my comedy shows would go better if I'm just wearing my underwear on top of. It's like the whole. It's like you're supposed to picture the crowd wearing underwear, right? But if they're watching me actively do it, but no, I feel like that's a weird trend. I would love to. I need to know if that stems from like a different country or if it's uh
Mm.
bored teenagers at home just thinking of that. Or I could see that also being like a let's make this a trend and see how people will be gullible.
Oh yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I just think it's weird personally because it's like I don't know. I get it. You want to, because sometimes you're right. People want to try and do something that's a shock value, like, hey, look at me. Sometimes everything's not that great to be looking at you at.
Yeah, yeah. I can't think of one person in my life where I want to see their day-to-day underwear. Like I don't want to know. Just as long, hopefully they're wearing it, and hopefully they've cleaned it in the past month.
Yeah, if you're gonna take that trend, hopefully your underwear is clean because that would be even worse.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm definitely a no for that.
I agree with you on that one.
I actually had my one of my childhood best friends when she was in so we had a friend that used to work at Glamour magazine. There was a magazine, really big magazine for women called
Mm-hmm.
Glamour, and she did an article, and she would like because we were good friends from high school. She would put us in all of her articles, or we'd have to write in an advice thing, or she'd use us basically as like test subjects. And so I don't think my friend Michelle is watching this, so I could say it. But my friend Michelle got sent out pretty much on assignment, and she had to ride the New York subways wearing like sheer pants, but people could see her underwear under it. And then Glamour magazine followed her all around and like took pictures of it. And the story ran, and the comments were just like so brutal, and people were taking pictures
Ooh.
of her in the city, and it was just like never again. So it reminds me of that situation, just different.
I'm quite sure she'll never forget that experience, though.
Yeah, exactly. And if someone from Glamour magazine watches this is all alleged. Allegedly, this happened. Allegedly, this happened when I was in high school.
There you go. So, what other topic do you have on your list?
Oh, I'm excited about this one. Okay, I wanted to talk fandoms, and you'll have to stop me with this because I can go on and on. But uh, like so, I feel like I'm in my 40s, but I still have fandoms, and I'm a fan of a lot of things. but they almost are the same things that I liked when I was in my 20s. So for example, there was a girl group called Fifth Harmony that was really
Mhm.
popular. They had pop music, and now they are having a they broke up and they went all their separate ways, but now they're having a resurgence on TikTok, and everyone is like excited that they might get back together. I don't think it's possible, but I was telling a friend, like, I'm a harmonizer, like that's their fan name. And she was like, there's no way you're 40 years old and still calling yourself like a fan or, a harmonizer. And then I was like, there's a TikToker named Addison Ray who I like a lot. And her fandom name is Sun Rays, and I'm definitely like a Sun Ray. And so I was going to ask you if you are part of a fandom, uh, and that could mean anything. You could just follow their Twitter, or like, to me, I've gone to meet and greets before to meet these people. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'll admit it to our people
I
here.
would say probably for me the closest I would get to it, and this drives my aunt nuts, but I love Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So you're Trekkie, right? Is that what they call
I'm a
you guys?
Trekkie,
Okay.
specifically
Wow.
Next Generation because they're all different. I like the Next Generation one with Captain Picard on it. Where he has Riker, Worf, Jody, Data. It's probably sad that I'm in my 50s and I know all these names, but
No, you don't know. What's the prior one with that? What's like the difference between the one that you said, the Next Generation?
yeah, it started off with the original Star Trek. Um, then it went into the Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and then there's Star Trek Voyager, and then comes Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then after that they have Picard, which is like uh, Captain Picard, a lot older, and then there's also the new generations where there's a young Kirk with the newer Star Treks. Um, so all of them are pretty good, but I don't know. I just love the Next Generation one the best. I
Wow.
can
Now
I
that
can
seems
literally
popular.
watch that over and over and over again. In fact, my uncle also he's a Trekkie as well. So I teased my aunt, say, "Hey, I'm going to get us all tickets on the Star Trek cruise," and she's like, "No, you're not." I said, "Why not? It'll be fun. You can hang out with the Ferengis, with the Klingons." And she goes, "Lawrence, it's really kind of scary that you know all this about."
That's so funny. That's so funny. That's so cute. Do you belong on any like Reddit pages or online fan groups for it?
No, but I do follow him on social media though. I do.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I would have loved to went on that, but yeah, nobody wants to go with me on that cruise. So.
I feel like that is the kind of cruise you could go alone and you would probably meet 10 friends all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's so cool about it is, I always say this because I like funny stuff. I like stuff that put a smile on my face. Work and life is so serious that when I watch TV, most of the stuff I gravitate to is fun stuff that makes me smile, stuff that makes me laugh. Because I'm serious
Yeah.
every day. I want to laugh at night.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like ones like Star Trek and like fandoms that have grown really big but stand the test of time are ones where people have a different world, like Harry Potter, the
Hmm.
Games of Thrones. Like, I have friends that are super, super into, like, they go on vacations where it was filmed and all these different things. And so it also feels good to escape and just be immersed in a whole different world.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, they may make fun of me, but I'm gonna be a Trekkie.
No, I think there's worse things you could be than a Trekkie. That's like the most innocent thing. Do you have any like Trekkie merch? Have you bought any pins or anything like that?
Believe it or not, no, I haven't.
Hmm.
I probably should though. Hopefully, my family won't throw it out, but I probably
I
should myself.
I feel like I would trust this. This is a controversial take, but I would trust the Trekkies more than the Star Wars people. I feel like I have a lot of friends that are like beyond Star Wars fandoms, and I don't know, they're a little too like too much for me, but I like it.
Yeah, one thing about it is when you look at people who love Star Wars versus Star Trek and all that, they're really serious about their world. Oh my gosh! I mean, I love
Oh yeah.
Star Trek too, but I don't think I'm gonna go into a fight about it either.
No, no. Not they don't belong to me, but I have a few of those like the sword things in our house. Like, we have some Star Wars memorabilia, but I
Mhm.
try not to make eye contact with it. I don't
I
get it.
hear you.
It kind of is like, but it's so funny because all my Star Wars friends are also like Disney adults too. Like they go hand in hand,
Hmm.
which
Hey,
I
you
like.
know
I'm
what?
not no hate.
Hey, it's all about staying young. And
Exactly.
they always say that if you can laugh every single day, it'll keep you young.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had to hide when I went to go see a meet and greet of that TikToker Addison Rae that I really liked. Like I think she truly
Hmm.
is like 21 or 22, but I think she's so pretty and cute and awesome. But I had to stand in line and it was as if like I was the only one there by myself and I was the age where I could have been the mom of a lot of the other girls that were there. So I was just like, "Oh, I just happened to be in this mall. I thought I'd," but really I drove like 40 minutes to meet her and it was so cool, but I think it's
Nice.
good to be a fan of things.
That's true. I agree. And actually, that brings me to our next subject, which is going to be interesting. Is there a such a thing as dressing too young? And here's
Oh,
here's here's why I come with that. Do you remember when Dolly Parton, um, she did the halftime show at the Super Bowl?
I don't
Was it the Super
remember
Bowl?
that. I'm surprised that
Was it?
no.
No, no, was it Super Bowl? I forgot what major event it was. But a lot of people were saying that she had dressed up in a Dallas Cowboy cheering uniform, and she had leggings on and stuff. I thought she looked classy, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't wear that. That's too young." And I'm just wondering, is there such a thing as dressing too young?
You know, my take on this, I am not a fan, especially like women on women of women that don't that kind of are mean to women that are of a mature age, like anyone that I think could still wear their hair in pigtails. It's one thing if you're dressing
Yeah,
like a Raggedy Ann doll and you're like eating a lollipop. If you're acting ridiculous like Shirley Temple, that's a
yeah,
little bit
sure.
weirder. But like just a mature woman that decides to wear pigtail braids or like a cute outfit, I am in full support of that. And I feel like it's almost worse to be mean to people about if they're dressing in a way that makes them happy and not hurting anyone. I feel like it's fine. And
Hmm.
also some of the like older women clothes are so boring and like not fun or funky at all. So that leaves little options for people. And if they want to dress like more youthful and it makes them more youthful, I think that's amazing.
That's true. That's true. Like I said, to me, if a person likes it, they're comfortable with it, who cares? Because you can line five people up and put an outfit in front of them. I guarantee you there's going to be five different opinions of that one outfit.
I know. I wish we had. Yeah, I know that is true. Sometimes I almost, if I was going to judge anything hardcore, I would judge like when some of my friends that have children, they just like give up and get the mom haircut that they like dress in all beige, and I'm like, come on, like I know that you want to dress cool. I saw a video about a girl making fun of adults that wear backpacks, and she was like, if you wear a backpack, you're just not doing good in life. When as I was watching it, I was wearing a JanSport backpack. And so sometimes I do remember, I'm like, oh, that is kind of geeky that I'm like walking around with my computer in a backpack. Like, but who cares? Like I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
if someone's gonna like think that I'm not worthy because of that, then I don't really care that much what they think anyway.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I mean, if you showed up wearing if you were dressed like a 13-year-old and had like a backwards hat and a, like Michael Jordan t-shirt on, it may look silly, but it's also, who knows, who knows.
True. That's true. What's next?
Okay, what's next is I wanted to ask you. So Madonna has been in the news lately, which is like not happened in 10 years. So Madonna makes her way back in the news because she's been notoriously late for a lot of her shows, and to the point where some of her fans have even sued her for like neglect of their time and basically false advertising. I think a lot of that was for like a publicity stunt. I'm not sure, who knows if they're going to win. And by the time like you're suing Madonna, you're probably not going to win against her lawyers and her money and everything. But uh, I I feel very passionately about this. Like I feel like in 2024, it's not really cool anymore for artists or anyone to waste the time of their ticket paying people, or even if people don't pay, like if you're a performer, I can see the case for being late like 20 or 30 minutes on a couple different nights if something is going wrong, but to be consistently 2 hours late when you are Madonna and you've been performing for so long, like get it together. And I think that's really weird to her fans. Um, Also, she's a 65-year-old woman, and I just can't imagine being in the industry for so long and still at this point, like being so disrespectful that you're like up to 2 hours late. Like what are you doing until 11 p.m.? So uh that is my
Yeah, I
thoughts.
mean, you hit it right on the head. I mean, to me, I mean, again, if you're a few minutes late, even 20 minutes late or whatever or so,
Yeah,
no one's gonna say anything. Stuff happens, no big deal. But to me, I agree with you. When you're 2 hours late, that is so incredibly disrespectful because people pay money to come see you, and then there's a lot of people that have to get babysitters, make arrangements and stuff like this in order to go to your concert. So you're really hurting them as well. And when you've been in the industry as long as she has, it's no longer, you're new, you're trying to figure this out. You know exactly
right.
what you're doing. It's almost, I don't know. To me, it's almost like you're kind of giving your fans the finger, like, whatever. I can do whatever I want. You're still gonna come
Exactly.
see me.
Yeah, and when you are like a legacy artist like her, you should be setting the tone for how a concert goes. And I know there are artists like that. Like I wouldn't see Adele. Adele has had to cancel her show a few times, due to whatever circumstances. But like
Sure.
it seems from what I've heard, like Adele is someone that just comes out, like gives a wonderful performance every night, and then is more like professional about it. And I just think if
Hmm.
Madonna knows that she can't get it together any night until about 11, then like tell your ticket buyers, hey, the show actually starts at 11. Like this is weird, but this is just my new timeline. And so uh I feel very strongly about that. And in 2024, Madonna is not like at the top of people's lists how she used to be. And so I think for her, like it's even more crucial to be on time and giving people their money's worth.
Oh yeah, because at some point, a lot of fans are gonna be like, this isn't worth this. You know,
Right. Yeah, her fans are
and
now in their 40s and 50s, and we don't have time to like have something start at 11:30.
and let's face it, concert tickets are not cheap, not even
No.
remotely cheap. Especially for headliners. So, and then on top of that, you come 2 hours late. Yeah, that's a bit much.
Yeah, get it together, Madonna. Come on. I know she's watching this right now. I mean, come on.
I
She's
hope so.
watching
That'd
this
be
before.
nice.
Yeah, she's watching this before she goes on stage in 19 hours for her show.
Well, I know we've been having a lot of fun, but I do want to talk about something on the serious side. Um, I watched this documentary, and it's called "Quiet on the Set: The Dark Side of Kids TV."
Mhm.
Did you get a chance to see that?
Yes, I watched it last night.
Um, the one the one thing that probably stands out the most about this is how important it is to protect the children. Because I have a son who's into music. He actually has music on Spotify, all the major streams, and there's a lot of bad people out there that if you're not watching closely, will harm your children. And I was very surprised to see what all was going on back then on Nickelodeon. Um,
Yeah.
quite sure they've made a lot of changes since then, but especially with the actor Jake that was on Jake and Josh,
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened to
Yep.
him? My heart goes out to that family. I mean,
Yeah.
when you give someone the responsibility of taking care of your children, and then you found out that they violated that, I mean, I don't know. I guess how do you feel about it when you watched it and saw
Uh,
the unfortunate side of that?
yeah. Well, I think a lot of it I've heard about in bits and pieces, like the Ariana Grande stuff. I've seen clips of that happen before. I knew about like the weird Dan Schneider foot thing. I think for me, you're right, the Jake thing got to me, and also the Amanda Bynes. Like I just thought that part was so sad. She really is like she was a comedic genius, and like just to see how naturally talented she was at that age, and it was like they plucked her out and then put her in this machine almost. Um, like you said, I'm just so surprised that no one then, like when they saw Ariana Grande like milking a potato and stuff, I would have to think that some people on set at that time would know that that's weird. And I guess they did. And, they, people in different ways tried to speak up, but they'd either be threatened or fired. I know a few of
Mhm.
them said that they would raise concerns and then all of a sudden they're like shut out and replaced. But, yeah, I mean, I thought it was super sad, and it seems like though a lot of them today have a good network of speaking out and supporting each other. So I hope that other ones that have like stories to tell would feel good about it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you have to be careful when there's a group or an entity that wants to try and push you out as a parent.
Yeah,
When your child is young, let's say 7, 10, 13, they're kids, okay?
yeah,
And, there's signals that you get. Whether you're a parent or not, if you see something weird, like, okay, this isn't right, something isn't right. I think a lot of that also falls on the network itself because to me, no one on that set should have so much power that people are scared to speak up when something's wrong.
right, right. You would think there'd be like other producers, other supervisors that would
Mhm.
immediately be like, "This is weird." Or now, if that would happen on TV, like I think we would be like, "Why is a young Ariana Grande like upside down, in these weird positions?" But I think back then that was just what it was. I would love to hear in the documentary. Did it say anything about Keenan? If so, I missed it. Um, I forget what his
I
last
didn't,
name is. But
yeah, they didn't really say anything about him. Um, the one thing that really kind of surprised me the most was how Dan had so much power that literally, if you even question, you don't have to be disrespectful, just question, he fired you on the spot. And
yeah,
it's like, okay, these people are on the contracts. How can he do that? I mean, of course, if you violate certain clauses, yes, they could fire you, but it was like he just had way, way too much power to me.
I
Way too.
know. Yeah, and I asked about Keenan because he seems like he has been the one that has continued for, like, such a long time and has done SNL, like, it seems like he hasn't had, like, a break in the industry, and it would be so interesting to hear from his perspective, like, how if he had to just kind of turn his head to a lot of things or, like, process a lot, like, I would love to hear from him because he seems like someone that has maintained a level of, like, sanity and success the whole time through, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I think it would be great to actually have someone. Um, I mean, obviously, my show's not big enough to bring a Keenan on, but I would love
Not
to
yet.
interview him because thank you. The interesting thing about it is, unfortunately, for most child actors, that's not common. I mean, to be honest with you, Keenan is extremely rare because
Right.
for whatever reason, kid actors never ever make that transition. There's very few of them that have, and he's one of them. So yeah, I would love to know, what he did to make sure that he continued to grow in the industry. You know?
Yes. And I forgot the woman, I forgot her name, but the one of the blonde woman in the beginning who talked about that they were like saying things about her body and when she hit puberty, she was kind of out.
Yes,
She seemed
yes.
really cool today. I don't know if she's in the entertainment because I didn't recognize her yet, but like she seemed very level-headed and like she had gotten control of what had happened. But yeah, the Amanda Bynes thing, I mean, for like 18,000 different reasons is just so sad. And like I think she really could have been the next like Lucille Ball or like just
Hmm.
someone like that. But yeah,
Yeah, I think the other problem too is sometimes they're stereotyped, or typecasted into a specific role.
yeah,
Like for example, if you think about Gary Coleman, he was extremely successful on Different Strokes, but then once that ended, he could never get his footing. And literally, I don't think anyone on that show really did anything afterwards. Anything of any great importance,
right.
which is kind of sad because, like I said, they were all great actors.
That's like I forget, is it Jamal something who played Urkel? But then he's
Yes,
actually like
yes.
such a hot man in real life. And then it's so funny because then he would be in like all these shows and everyone's like, oh, that's Urkel. But I think he was able to escape being pigeonholed as Urkel and play stuff before. But Yeah, that's definitely weird, and I think that guy is just like Dan just seems like very very creepy. It seems like Ariana Grande has been through a lot of just weird producers and managers and like I don't know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of her to begin with, but when it adds more context, like what she's been through and kind of maybe what she's had to sacrifice to get where she is today, it definitely makes me feel like some semblance of empathy.
That's true. I guess the takeaway I would say from this is, if you're gonna have a child get into the entertainment industry, obviously you want to support them, encourage them, but make sure that you keep an eye on them.
Oh
And I,
yeah.
I would say trust your gut. If something does not feel right, don't ignore it. Trust your
Right.
gut, you know.
Yep. Well,
So
that was going to be my next topic is kind of um like similar to that where it was actually about child influencers and
mm,
like how young is too young for actual, in not even just actors like a Nickelodeon that we should talk about, but it was an article on NBC News, which is that basically most children now are just born with having phones, having electronics, and it's becoming more natural for them to record their trips to restaurants or do
mhm.
unboxing videos. And so parents now have to have a whole new landscape of rules and boundaries for their kids. And so basically the question was like, how young is too young for a kid to be an influencer? And the same way we were talking about Nickelodeon and parents being aware of stuff, how can parents monitor what their kids are doing on TikTok and Instagram?
I would say for me, and like I said, a lot of people aren't going to agree with what I say, but I think that unfortunately, you're not going to keep your kid away from all the devices that are out there.
Yeah.
But in order to be able to have them have some type of sense of what's going on, I think they have to be, probably I would say probably around maybe around 10, at the youngest. Because at least at 10, they could kind of understand what's going on around them. And they're old enough to be able to say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore or have some input. Because to me, if you're going to have a child that's going to be in the entertainment industry, I think that they should want to do it, not because they're
Hmm.
being told by their parents
Yeah.
or their parents want them to be a star because they were never a star as a child. I think those are horrible reasons
Oh
because we
gosh,
all
yes.
we all know at least one person that tries to live through their kids.
Oh yeah. There's a podcaster I really like who just had an infant, and him and his wife are like they're not exploiting the child, but they're definitely like you could tell every single thing is like a product deal where they're like, thanks to this diaper bag, thanks to this, and they're doing the baby was 3 days old and they were basically doing commercials like for the baby, and even just that, I like to the woman, I'm like, log off for like 3 days and like just recover or something. Like it's so
Right.
weird that the baby was truly like 48 hours old and they were like thanks to this Snuggie, thanks for sending this in. And so to me that's just so weird, but yeah, I definitely think they should have a certain number. And I like when accounts say managed by the parent, like in the bio. I think that's really good because then weirdos like know what they're, that there's a parent that's looking.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because the one thing about it, having people know that your parents are heavily involved in what you do. I mean, you're not going to protect your children from everything, obviously, but a lot of bad actors are going to think twice about trying to approach that child if they know someone's watching them very closely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a difference between, a trusted adult watching a child versus a parent watching a child.
Yes. Speaking of young fandoms, one child account, this is so funny, but there's one account that I do like, and it's all about this. It's a store called Dear Hannah Prep, and it's all about like preppy clothes. But their TikTok, if anyone's watching and you want like just a relaxing thing to watch, it's so adults are in the mix too, so it's it's not just children, it's like adults and children, but it's all these
Mhm.
girls. I think they're in Texas or something, but it's all these girls like shopping at a preppy store, and then it's so funny because I feel like I'm watching a beauty pageant world where you can tell there's a little bit of drama and like these girls are so excited to be Dear Hannah Preps girls. And then one week, like one of them will be out and everyone's like, asking like, "Where's Morgan? Where's Morgan?" And then so it's really funny. So I like watching it in like a reality show kind of way. But something like that where these are young girls, but they're pretty much hired on as like influencers for the store. But there's adults like clearly in the videos, and so once in a while they'll show who the adult is that's making it, and so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like having a mix is good. It's weird when just like a 10-year-old has an account and it's just them and their face, and we never see anyone else.
I tell you, it's amazing what's out there. Like they say, there's something for everyone.
There is something for everyone. I think I've watched everything for everyone. I've scrolled too many times. I'm like, why am I watching a bunch of like 12-year-olds in Florida pick out an outfit? But who knows?
That almost reminds me of people on TikTok, when they do the TikTok lives. And literally, I've seen lives where people just sitting there eating, looking at the screen. Not saying that
No.
I've seen lives where people just lying in the bed, sleep. And it's like, okay, this is weird. Let me go someplace else. It's just like
Yes.
the weirdest lives that you ever seen in your life, to me.
Right. I feel like we're not far away from that, where everyone is just like 24/7 broadcasting their own experience and watching someone else. I was just at a party and a girl was telling me that like she was actively watching cute animal videos on TikTok, but then looked at her cat, was in real life, was so sad and just wanting attention. And then she, ever since then, she was like, "Oh, why am I watching
Wow.
animal videos when there's like an animal right there wanting my love?"
Wow. That is a
So,
great example. That is a
right.
great example.
And I feel like that's humans too. Is like we all have actual people in our lives that want to hear from us instead of us watching people sleep online.
Cat's probably sitting there like, wow, really? So you're gonna watch all these cats and I'm sitting right
I
here.
know. I know. That makes me so sad. I was just thinking of a cat watching. Well, let me see. Oh yeah, that was my topic. Okay, so now it's your turn. I think that was actually my
Okay.
last topic for this week.
Okay. Let's see. I would say let's talk about this. Actually, is a new one that just popped up. Um, Beyonce's new album. Now Beyonce um has has came out with some country music,
Uh-huh.
and her new album cover has Beyonce sitting on top of a horse,
Let's see.
um, and she's
Oh,
in a
I see it.
patriotic. To me, there's nothing wrong with it. And then when her song first came out, which is actually a pretty good song, it's actually a really nice song.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that
a,
song.
a lot of the country music stations at first did not want to play it,
What the heck?
and then a lot of her fans called in, and magically, all of a sudden, they started playing it. And I guess it came out that one of the reasons why she wanted to go ahead and put her foot in this genre and try it out is because back in 2016, she was actually on a country music award, and she was performing with other artists, other country artists, and she did not feel accepted. She was made to feel like she shouldn't be there.
Oh.
So, obviously there's a lot of different things that play with that. But I love the fact that instead of letting her get her down or, lashing back in a negative way, she's like, okay, you know what? You won't want to give me the stage. I'm going to make the stage for myself.
Yeah.
And she channeled it into something positive and like, because one thing about having a son who's really into music, true people who love music love all genres. A lot of people don't
Yes.
know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they allow their favorite artists to sample and to try out, experiment. Like I feel like all artists that we love also, probably whether they published it or not, they did things like, collaborations with other artists. And I feel like Willie Nelson like loves to collaborate with people in the pop genre, or there's
Mm-hmm.
lots of like the Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails has done a lot of different like symphony things. So yeah, I think it's so wonderful to let artists try an experiment. And
Oh
isn't
yeah,
Beyonce
like
from Texas too?
yes, she is.
Yeah, so everyone go away. Like, yeah, everyone go away. She's just as much Texas as everyone else. So yeah, like
Oh yeah, like my son, he's indie pop, but I'll hear him singing a rap song. I'll hear him singing a jazz or blues song. And the thing is that some of his favorite music is not necessarily indie pop. So the thing is, just because an artist only sings or they perform in a certain genre doesn't mean that's the only genre they like to listen to.
Right, right, not at all. And I feel like that's weird. People in that genre like saying that someone is not that enough or they're not allowed to try their hand at it. And so far, like Beyonce's song was pretty darn good. And I'm looking at this album cover, and yeah, I feel like she knew. Good for her. She probably knew she was going to get some backlash from it, but still did it anyway. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's kind of sad that in 2024 that someone would still experience that.
I know, I know.
But good for Beyonce. And like I said, I like some country stuff, not a whole lot, but actually her song was pretty nice. I did like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. And yeah, I think I like the more of like the old school country, like just more like like the Willie Nelsons and stuff like that. I feel like new country has no business channeling anyone out because I'm like, I don't know, it already it feels like it's stealing from a whole bunch of other like weird genres anyway. So but
Hmm.
yeah, I could see that. I could picture a country music awards be really weird. Or I can see that basically how like people would feel like it's exclusive or like it's our community.
Hmm. You know, that actually leads me into our next topic, and I think this is going to be a hot button for a lot of people. Now, I think within the last week or two, um, Congress has passed a law banning TikTok. Now, of
Oh
course,
God.
the next step is to go to the Senate, but I wanted to kind of get your feeling on that. What do you think about the possibility of them banning TikTok?
You already know that I'd have no content. I'd have to read a newspaper. I'd have nothing to talk about. But I can't handle my dear Hannah prep girls going away. I think I'd like lose my mind. I mean, TikTok is by far my favorite whatever social modality. It is my favorite. I don't follow any of my friends or family on TikTok. I follow like all people I don't know, and it's glorious. And I have felt like, to me, that's the one that I feel like people are the funniest on. Like I've really, really laughed hard. I've got invested in TikTok. I I understand there's some like security issues and national security issues. I totally get that, but I also feel like as much as my data is going to get stolen from that, I'm doing the same things like on the email or on Instagram.
Hmm.
So if they want to spy on me, like watching videos of manatees, that's totally fine. If that's gonna like prevent, if that's gonna make a war start or whatever, um, I would love if they could like figure out exactly why we're so freaked out about it and like be honest with the people too. And so but what I don't want as well is like some other company to buy it and then it's just I don't know. I also think too TikTok has been our last frontier of being able for people able to like even with the Kate Middleton thing. Now it's still quote unquote free speech in the way that like people can come on and give their theories and it still feels like it hasn't been shut down yet. Whereas Instagram was horrible about that, especially during the pandemic. And like Instagram will ban stuff for no reason. And then, I've been put in like Instagram jail for seemingly nothing. And YouTube is really finicky, even though we're on these platforms right now. Uh, I think TikTok still seems like it's the most authentic of like hearing someone talk without it being totally controlled.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, the one thing that's interesting to me is Republicans and Democrats don't agree on anything.
Yeah.
They could be in a white room, and one group will argue that this is black, the other one's going to argue, no, this room is gray, and be arguing back and forth. So for them to agree, I do think that there's something they're not telling us,
Yeah, yeah.
because for them to have that much bipartisan agreement to push this through, and it looks like it's probably going to go through on the Senate,
No.
but I know that there is an off ramp where instead of outright banning it, they're going to give them 6 months to sell. Um,
Yeah, to like divest it and stuff. That will be if TikTok went away, I would honestly have like 3 hours more free a day. And but I mean, yeah, like why does the most fun thing have to pose a threat to our national security? I don't understand.
yeah, I mean, to me, there's a lot that can be done to protect people on all the platforms. And I agree with what you said earlier. If there's a true threat, I think people are mature enough to know what it is. And
Yeah,
just be honest about it. You know, if there's something serious there that, you know, could lead to, you know, something catastrophic, war or anything else, just be honest with the public and just tell us. Because then once you do that, people may, now there's going to always be people that's going to go, BS, I don't care. But most people are going to go, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
definitely. And it is weird and it is probably not the best thing. Some of the filters that now Instagram and TikTok have where like, you take a picture of yourself and it basically scans you and then it shows what you'll look like in 25 years or like a lot of them has been like turn to the side and do this. So I'm sure in a weird way they are capturing all like of our likenesses maybe for something or maybe it's just for fun, but there is definitely some filters and some things that seem odd, but at this point it's like we can't really stop it. And I don't know, I feel like if it's not going to be TikTok it's going to be something else that like we're just walking and somehow it like maps our faces.
Yeah, because I mean, even with I know there's a lot of great things AI can do. Um, but the other thing that kind of makes me a little nervous is, you know, when they are able to take a picture of you and I and create a video of us talking, having a conversation, and none of us made that video, but it looks
Right.
so realistic. That's scary.
Yeah, yeah, and I've listened to like AI podcasts where they get a certain number of hours of podcasters and then they're pretty much able to type in a subject and have someone like podcast on it. And I was going to say too the one issue I do have with TikTok is that um Instagram has filters and but TikTok has made it so that it's hard to post any normal video, I think now without like looking completely fugly, which is, our normal how we look. But I think mostly everyone that I see on TikTok is filtering themselves in one way or another. And like it almost as if I do think TikTok does make the normal camera look even worse. Like sometimes I look at myself on TikTok normally and I'm like, okay, this looks even worse than it does in the mirror. But that I think has made it weird because it's made us all feel like we need to use a filter or touch up our like own videos. So that is one thing that during TikTok that I've been guilty of where I never on Instagram or Facebook, like I don't care about filters or like Facetune or anything like that. But TikTok, I find myself like using some of them, which is just weird because then it's like, okay, well, that's not what I look like in real life, you know?
I mean, I guess it depends on the person because I know with me, obviously, you know, for me, for the lives and stuff, I want to be as natural as possible. That's why I'm,
Yeah,
you know, I'm in
yeah.
my basement when I do it. You know, I don't put on any makeup or anything. You know, just want to be as natural as possible. And I mean, sometimes using filters is good. I think filters are bad when, let's say, you're trying to go on a dating app. Thank God I don't have to do that crap because I'm married. But you know, if you go on a dating app, I would think, and someone uses filters, and you meet them, and you're doing one of these numbers on your phone, and you're going,
Yeah, yeah.
"Are you sure you're this person?"
Right, right. If I can't tell that it's you, totally. And a lot of times, like if I use the Megan Fox filter or ones like that, I'm just like, oh my god, I have so much potential. But then I'll, then you go back, and then you almost feel embarrassed to post the normal you, which is like we should not be embarrassed of the normal versions of us at all. So in that way, that's been the only that, and I think the constant. It's hard to stop scrolling, and like the
Yeah.
the constant dopamine from scrolling. I think because TikTok is so fun, that has been the other challenge too, is to like know when enough is enough. um,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I find myself I would prefer, this is so bad, but sometimes I'd rather just like watch TikTok for like 2 hours than I'd rather do that than watch like an actual TV show because I just find it more engaging. But um yeah.
No, you're 100% right. Because, like I said, you can find, you know, nice content, and you can find some of the most bizarre stuff on the face of the earth on TikTok.
Yeah.
And you're right. You know, you don't if you're not paying attention, yeah, you'll be on there like, oh my god, how long has that been on
Yeah, yeah. It'll be like a 50-part series on Avril Lavigne or something that I've watched, and I'm like, it's 3 hours later, and I've done really nothing but like watch. So yeah.
Oh my God. You know, I hate this, but we're out of time here. Oh my
No
gosh.
way, really?
And guess
Oh
what? I
yes.
still have a bunch of stuff on my list we could be talking about, but
Well, let's save it for
uh,
next week.
yes. And you know, something tells me that the conversation on TikTok is not over yet.
I know, I know. I'm gonna cry on YouTube Live if TikTok goes away, and then I'll send that to the Chinese government. I want to give a tease for next week because I definitely think we should talk about one of your subjects, which is like romance in the workspace. So I want to just leave it at there. I think people
Yes.
should tune in next week because we have some hot talk about that, some thirsty talk.
Oh yes, that's definitely going to be a good one. That never ever gets old. Let me tell you. Then I got some really fun stuff that I want to talk about today, but we'll talk about on the next show. I'll throw out a little teaser on that about the pilot retiring.
Oh, he's not on Boeing, is he?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know.
Oh gosh, he's like, I better get out of this field before.
See, I was being nice. I was gonna say, well, maybe that's why I was retiring, but I'm like, okay, I'll be good. I won't say it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, I'm like, where my brain goes. Well, this was so
But
fun, like always.
oh, absolutely. And for everyone watching, just so you know, all of our lives are on elrodtvnetwork.com. And we also have other great programming in place as well that you can watch. Very low and expensive. Try us out for 7 days for free. And then from there, you could do a monthly or yearly subscription, both very inexpensive. And with that, I want to thank everyone for watching. I am Lawrence Elrod.
And I am Meryl Climo.
You all have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. That went by so fast.
Yes, it did. And let me